thank you for joining me on Tibalt's Apprentice Luck of the Draw.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
This is Josh. This is the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter of that quartet, or actually it's a Stephen King reference, not a quartet, it's a quartet of us playing Commander. Though Brian doesn't join us as often as he normally does.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So you've been the missing piece up to this point.
Yeah, right.
We tried not to talk about you too much on the show, but we may have. I don't know. Anyhow, you'll have to go back and see.
Okay.
So, anyhow, glad you got a chance to film here with us and talk a little bit about Magic.
I love talking about Magic. So
you're in the right place
anytime.
Then. So here's my first question. How long have you played Magic?
I've been playing Magic since, let me think. The year escapes me. Around 4th edition.
Most everybody, I don't remember when it was. Sometimes you'll remember the set. Other times you'll remember high school or
It was
after
college.
high school or whatever.
It was. I was around probably 18 or 19 years old.
Right.
It was 4th edition. I think it just come out.
Okay.
And I got introduced by a friend named Tom June.
Yeah.
You remember Tom?
I sure do.
Okay. He introduced me to the game and a few other people who played.
Right.
And shortly after, I started working at a comic book store, and they played, and that began my love of playing Magic.
Nice.
It didn't last long. I was a poor, starving student.
Right.
So I didn't have much money.
Okay.
And I think after about Mirage, which, gosh, I wasn't very much longer after 4th edition.
Right.
I got out of it.
Okay.
And then in 2010, I think New Phyrexia had just come out, and that got me back into it.
Okay.
I met you. I met Enrique, who I think you've had on the show before.
Yes, indeed.
And I've been playing with you guys ever since.
We've been playing pretty regularly ever since then. What is it about Magic that you like? What do you love about Magic? I'm assuming you love it, but what is it you like about Magic at any rate?
The strategy.
Yeah.
The strategy and the variance of it. You've got a puzzle to figure out, and that puzzle is how do you defeat your opponent.
Okay.
And you've got your deck of cards, they have your deck of cards, and you're constantly trying to put yourself in a position to best maximize your opportunity to win. And it's a new puzzle with the same cards every game.
Right.
And so it never gets old.
Right.
And of course, new cards come out.
I was just going to say, and now you've got 25 years worth of cards at this point to select from. Of the types of Magic that we play, though, do you have a favorite?
Not really.
No? It's okay, because that's pretty much the same answer I'm going to get.
I like them all.
Yeah?
I assume you're talking about...
I'm assuming format, so whether it's going to be Commander, or whether it's going to be 60 on 60 one-on-one, or just what we would call a shark pit, or group therapy, or whatever, where it's just...
All of it.
Yeah?
I will say I have almost no experience in draft or sealed.
Okay.
Except for a couple of
pre-release tournaments for sure.
Here.
Okay, yeah.
Other than that, I have very little experience with it, and from a enjoyability standpoint, I think I've enjoyed constructed or some type of constructed format better than some type of draft format. Why
is that? So only reason I ask that, and not that that's a wrong answer, one of the things that people love about it, about the draft format, is trying to solve the format, if that's what it is. So when you're first drafting, you've got that initial rush of, here's the cards, what can I do with them? Does that not appeal to you, or is it, because personally I am very much a show me type of person. I've got to see how the cards work. I've got to hold the card in my hand before I can really start making sense of it.
Okay.
So I just wonder, how do you feel about that?
I think for me, when I build a constructed deck, most of the time I'm building the constructed deck in mind that I'm going to play against the people I normally play with at the kitchen table.
Okay.
And so with that in mind, I'm building a deck that I know I'm going to be able to play a year from now, 5 years from now. I usually, once I create a deck, I leave it alone.
Okay.
I don't regurgitate the cards. If I want a new deck, I'll just go get new cards.
Right.
I'm fortunate to be in a position to be able to do that.
Yeah. So that was something that Enrique and I talked about last week and stuff, was whether your decks evolve or whether it's creation or evolution. So do your decks evolve? Do you build a deck and then tweak it, etc.?
Almost never.
Or build it, put it away after that.
Now the reason being is because one of the things I enjoy about Magic is taking a look at what was maybe a competitive standard deck 5 years ago, and I could play it against the standard deck today and see how it holds
the power
up.
creep. See if things have
That's
see how much things have changed. Okay, fair enough. Just for example, somebody else that we used to play with on a regular basis, nobody could show up that day or whatever, so I had brought 25 decks that I had in a garbage bag, basically. Nice. Not a garbage bag, but I brought in just like 25 decks that I had sitting there at the house, and we each put a hand in, grabbed one, and played against each other for the evening just to see how it went.
Now, the decks that you brought, I assume 60-card decks?
They're all 60-card decks, yeah.
Were they all the same format?
No, of course not. They were every format, every conceivable style and strategy and whatever. It was just a grab bag, literally a grab bag where we just reached in and pulled out, and whatever we played. None of them particularly good, but they were fun for the time, and it made for a good evening.
When you say not particularly good, do you mind if I explore that a little bit?
Sure,
with you? Because
absolutely.
I assume that when you say that, you mean from a competitive standpoint, they might not be.
Yes.
The power level isn't there.
Yeah, but it goes towards something that I've explored on this channel and that we talk about amongst ourselves when we play. My style of building has changed tremendously, because it used to be, like you said, we started out as starving students, or in this case I was already out of school and so on, but I had moved out to California and immediately started working the week that I got here and had been working ever since. So I was limited to just throwing together what I had, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I would cobble together decks based on that. I believe some of those 25 decks may have still been from 20 years ago that were cobbled together based on just the cards that I had laying around. And so that's it. So I hadn't started really formulating a strong strategy for building decks. And one of the reasons that I started this channel too is to explore the thoughts and process of each person that goes into building a deck. Everybody does it a little bit differently, and I've finally become more focused, or am working towards being more focused on building not just a more competitive deck, but a stronger deck that plays well. Because if there's synergy within the cards, I'm going to give a good example of, I think it's a good example, last Friday when we played our final commander game of the day.
You were playing the elves.
I was playing the elves deck, and I was out first. I was the first one to get knocked out. But I had a great time because I did some big splashy things. Now, they didn't amount to much. They looked really good when they were happening. They may have put a little bit of fear into people, as to what was going to happen next, but people had answers for it or whatever. But it was a fun game.
Had to take you out, Mike.
Because the synergy.
Had to do it.
That's okay. But, I didn't feel bad about it because my deck had worked well. So it's, we talk about this, it's not only about the deck and winning or losing, it's about the time that you're spending with your friends, that you're sharing with people, and that's part of the fun. Ideally, that's part of the fun too.
I heard this somewhere. I don't know if I'm getting this right. I think I saw it on Twitter or something, but somebody characterized Magic this way. They said, I came for the Magic, but I stay for the gathering.
There you go.
And I don't know.
That sums it up pretty well.
I think that's how it was said.
It may be paraphrased, but that sums it up good.
I think the idea explains itself pretty
Absolutely, well. Absolutely. So let me ask you, if you could change one rule in Magic, or implement one rule in Magic, is there anything that springs to mind? Now, I think my initial complaint was, Magic sets every 20 minutes, or however fast they're printing them at this point. I don't know. They seem to be coming out pretty fast for me. I think things like Battle, maybe not 20 minutes, but you know what I mean. They're coming out a few a season.
They've got 4 core sets plus ancillary product plus usually a commander.
I think
product,
Battle
a
Bond
Masters,
really
Battle
got
Bond,
skipped over because
Iconic Masters. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like every month and a half.
hard to keep up with. But aside from that, what would you change if given the chance, or what would you? Is there a rule in Magic? Is there something that you would?
From a rule standpoint, there's nothing that I could think of that I would change.
Okay.
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
I'm going
fair
to
enough.
probably be in bed tonight. I'm going to be like,
Oh, I should
yeah,
have said.
my head's going to hit the pillow.
Come back,
like,
come back,
I don't know.
come back and tell us next time what
Okay.
that is. But in the meantime, anything else that you would change?
So there, I think Magic's next evolution is to become a successful esport. At least I think that's where they're trying to
Sure.
push the product, and I think a lot of what Magic is doing right now is to push the whole enterprise in an electronic format.
Right.
And I think that's great, but Magic's been really successful as a paper format, and I don't. There's a spirit that was created by creating this product,
Right.
In that manner, and I hope they don't lose it.
Yeah.
And I feel
Well
like they
played.
are.
Yeah.
I think they are a little bit.
I can see that. I hope we both hope that they're wrong or they don't abandon that completely. But
I don't think they will. I don't think their intention ever will be to
Right.
do that. But I don't know. Maybe it's just a matter of kind of the bumps and bruises of trying to develop a product into an esport and make it successl and I think they've got some smart people over there. I think they'll figure it out.
they'll work it out. Well, let's hope so. Well, at this point, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me. We will.
You're welcome.
We'll film a little bit more maybe later. We'll maybe get a little bit of gameplay. There is one other thing that I would